Welcome. In this lesson, we're going to start to learn to do the reverse direction of what we've learned in the last few lessons. In other words, they're going to give us a polynomial, and we're going to factor it. We're going to start out by just factoring the greatest common factor between the two terms. And what I mean by that is this 2r squared, I'm going to write as a 2 times an r times an r. I have a 2 in front, and I have two r's that I'm multiplying together. This 6r, the 6 can be written as 2 times 3. It's two prime factors, 2 and a 3, and I have a single r. Now what I do is I look to see what they have in common. I have a 2 and a 2 that they both these terms have. I also have one r and one r that both those terms have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull those out or factor them away. And what I mean is I'm going to pull it like this, and now I'm going to write what's left. So I took the 2r out. I'm left with a single r. I took this 2 and I took this 3. I'm left with a 3 that I'm minusing from the r. This is the factored form of that. And you can always check to make sure that worked, because if I distribute back in, I should get what I started with. 2r times r would be 2r squared. 2r times this 3 would be the 6r. So this red portion here is my factored form, and it's what I type in to the answer. 2r, do some parentheses, and inside the parentheses do r minus 3. Okay, so I'm going to factor this one so you can see it. So what I've done is I've expanded the 4a cubed. In other words, 4 is 2 times 2. A cubed is 3a's. The 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, and I have that single a. They both have a couple 2's in common, so I'm going to pull that out in front of a set of parentheses, and they both have a single a in common. So I'm going to pull out the two 2's and the a. I took those away. What's left of that first term but an a squared? What's left of this? So I took this and this. What's left of the second term? A 2. And then put that minus sign in between. And then simplify. 4a is what I factored away from an a squared minus 2. And that's what you type in to right here. I'm going to jump ahead to see how much harder it gets. So again, I'm going to expand this out. So I expanded this out. The 6 is 2 times 3. The a cubed is 3a's. The 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And the a squared is 2a's. They both have a 2. They both have a 3. And both terms have a single, both terms have 2a's. So we have 2a's in common. So I'm factoring out that 2, the 3, the a, and the a from both those terms. That leaves in the first expression this single a minus, and what's left in the second term? A 2. And then I just combine these all and write it as a 6a squared outside the parentheses, then a minus 2 inside the parentheses. And if I was to distribute this back in, I would get a 6a cubed minus 12a squared. But we don't distribute it back in. We actually write this as our answer. So again, I'm going to jump forward, see if it gets even any harder. And again, it looks like, now, by the way, you don't have to factor it completely. I'm going to show you I'm going to factor this one a little bit differently. So in this one, I didn't factor it quite as far. I left the 14 as 14. And the reason I did that is I knew 14 was a factor of 42. 3 times 14 is 42. Whoops, I should not have underlined those. I didn't mean to underline those because I only want to underline what's in common. That 3 is not in common, just the 14 is in common. Then I took the v to the 5th power, and I said it's v times v to the 4th. So both of these terms have a v to the 4th. This had an extra v. So what I'm pulling out is the 14 and the v to the 4th from the first term, which leaves just this one v here. And then I pull out the 14 v to the 4th from the second term, leaving just the 3. And that's what I type in to this expression right here, like that. Okay, I like this one because once in a while, we factor everything away, and students seem to make a simple mistake when we do that. So I'm going to write this out. So I expanded the 6 to 2 and 3. The h to the 5th power is 5 h's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. H times h times h times h times h. I expanded this 6 into a 2 times a 3, and I expanded out the h cubed to h times h times h, because I want to emphasize that we have a 2 in common, a 3 in common, one h, a second h, and a third h. So what I'm factoring out is the 2, the 3, and the 3 h's. And then inside the parentheses, I'm going to write what's left. So in this first set of first term, I have these, and maybe I'll do it in a different color. I have these 2 h's left right here. So I have an h times an h. But what's left of the second term? I took everything. If I take everything away, and I'm not saying I'm subtracting, I'm dividing it out, what's always left is a 1. If you take everything out from a factored form, from a binomial, it leaves a 1. That's very important to realize that I divided it out. So what my final solution will be a 6, that's the 2 times the 3, times an h cubed, that's those 3 h's times together, and then we have an h squared, and then we have a minus 1. If you forget to do the minus 1, your answer wouldn't be correct because I need to distribute in, and I need to get a 6h cubed. And if there's no 1 there, I don't get a second term. I have to have 2 terms. So no matter how many terms I have here, I have to have that many terms inside. So if you take everything, remember, it always leaves a 1. I typed it in as 6h cubed parentheses h squared minus 1 because I took all of the 6h cubed, which it does not leave 0, it leaves 1. If you have any questions or concerns or want me to walk you through this again, please do ask me to do so in class.